Hello everyone, welcome to the Street Crime UK YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more exciting true crime content. Today we look at two men from Eastbourne and another from Seaford that were jailed for their part in a 2016 robbery that can now be revealed. In a series of linked court trials, they were convicted of conspiracy to rob together with 11 other men from across the southeast, police have confirmed. Detective Inspector James Derham said that these men subjected 3 families to extreme levels of violence which left them in fear that they would be killed. Lee George Baker, 29 of Hode Road, Eastbourne, and Brandy Dewson, 26 of Latimer Road were both jailed for 12 years for conspiracy to commit robbery. Nyeki Eliu, 31 of Church Street in Seaford, was jailed for 16 years for conspiracy to commit robbery. The robbery, which took place in Lenham in Kent in April 2016, saw victims threatened with firearms and baseball bats while young children were also present. A total of 17 men were charged for their roles in the robbery, with 10 found guilty and a further 4 admitting their roles in the offence. Today, the final offender, Junior Tamaklo, pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit robbery. Maidstone Crown Court heard that a group of masked men entered 3 properties in Forstall Road at about 11:30 PM on April 26. They were all dressed in black and wore balaclavas, dust masks and bandanas to conceal their faces, police said. The occupants of each property were threatened with shotguns, handguns, crowbars and baseball bats during a prolonged attack. Young children witnessed the horrific ordeal and 4 victims then had their wrists bound together with cable ties. A 5th victim sustained a fractured skull and was also stabbed in the right arm and leg whilst trying to prevent the offenders gaining entry to his property where his wife and young children were hiding. The assault ended once the offenders had located a quantity of cash and a designer handbag. The offenders then fled in different directions, leaving their victims tied up, police said. At 11:42 PM on the same night, Kent police received a 999 call reporting a robbery had taken place. Officers were sent to the scene and a search of the area was conducted. Aaron Mayers and Nana Dankua were quickly located in a vehicle in nearby Leeds village and were arrested and later charged for their role in the incident. Another offender, Darren Myers, called 999 to falsely report that he had been kidnapped and was locked in the boot of a car. Officers were unable to locate him, however it soon emerged that he had been part of the robbery and had made the kidnap allegation to cover up his offending, the police said. 2 days later he handed himself in and was subsequently charged for his role in the incident. Offenders went on to conduct a complex and in-depth investigation to locate the outstanding offenders, including analysis of forensic evidence, CCTV and mobile phone data, which led to the arrests of the remaining offenders. Detective Inspector James Derham, a senior investigating officer for the case, said, "These men subjected 3 families to extreme levels of violence, which left them in fear that they would be killed. The level of violence used shows the offenders to be a very real threat to society, and it is fit and proper they now face a substantial amount of time in custody. I would like to thank the victims for the support they have given to the investigation. It's helped put together a strong and compelling case which has secured these entirely appropriate sentences. This case shows that Kent and Essex Serious Crime Directorate will relentlessly pursue organised crime groups operating in the county and bring those responsible before the courts. A total of 17 men were charged for their roles in the robbery, with 10 found guilty and a further 4 admitting their roles in the offence. 2 were found not guilty and the trial of a further suspect resulted in a hung jury. According to Kent Police, the full convictions are Darren Myers, 33, convicted of conspiracy to commit robbery and possession of a disguised firearm. He was sentenced to 23 years imprisonment and was reduced to 21 years following an appeal. Aaron Mayers was convicted of conspiracy to commit robbery and received a 20-year sentence. This was reduced to 16 years following an appeal. Nana Dankwa of the Shrublands Potter's Bar was convicted of conspiracy to commit robbery and received a 20-year sentence. This was reduced to 18 years following an appeal. Lee George Baker, 29, was convicted of conspiracy to commit robbery and received a 20-year sentence. This was reduced to 12 years following an appeal. Nyeki Eliu, 31 of Church Street, Seaford, was convicted of conspiracy to commit robbery and received a 20-year sentence. This was reduced to 16 years following an appeal. Jake Jenks, 25, was convicted of conspiracy to commit robbery and received a 16.5-year sentence. This was reduced to 14 years following an appeal. Connor Miller, 22, of No Fixed Address, was convicted of conspiracy to commit robbery and received a 16-year sentence. Ahmed Ali, 23, of No Fixed Address, pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit robbery and received a 13-year sentence. Brady Dewson, 26, of Latimer Road, Eastbourne, pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit robbery and received a 12-year sentence. John Smiley, 26, was found guilty of conspiracy to commit robbery and sentenced to 16 years imprisonment. This was reduced to 14 years following an appeal. He was found not guilty of having a firearm with intent to commit an indictable offence. Faisal Iza, 24, was found guilty of conspiracy to commit robbery and sentenced to 16 years imprisonment. This was reduced to 14 years following an appeal. He was found not guilty of having a firearm with intent to commit an indictable offence. Gerald Long was found guilty of conspiracy to commit robbery and sentenced to 17 years imprisonment. He was found not guilty of having a firearm with intent to commit an indictable offence. Glenn Kenny, 26, pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit robbery. He was sentenced to 10 years and 8 months imprisonment. This was reduced to 9 years and 4 months following an appeal. Keon Barker, 24, pleaded not guilty to conspiracy to commit robbery, and a trial resulted in a hung jury. There will be no further court proceedings. Vincent Stickings, 31, was found not guilty to conspiracy to commit robbery. Mr. Tamaklo, 34, of no fixed address, was the final defendant for this offence. He was sentenced to 13.5 years imprisonment on November 12, 2018. What do you think about the jail time they've been sentenced to, the time they managed to get off with an appeal, and also the fact they did this in front of children?
Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a like and a share, and leave any thoughts or suggestions you have in the comments section. We love to read through them all. And if you're new but enjoy UK true crime content, then subscribe to see when our newest video releases. And as always, stay safe.